Hello, my name is Angel Talamantez, and we'll be talking about the low, moderate levels of arsenic being associated with type 2 diabetes. So, what is arsenic? Arsenic is a small metallic element within the Earth's crust, and the elements can be found in water, air, and soil, which comes in two different forms, being organic and inorganic. And the main difference between these two is that inorganic doesn't carry any carbon and is much more toxic than organic. Consuming about 100 milligrams of arsenic can result in an acute poisoning, but regardless, it seems like any levels of arsenic can be potentially harmful to us. The main sources of arsenic can be found in natural beings of groundwater and mineral ore, products of insecticides, so just like ant killers or animal dibs, and possibly like roach killers as well. It could also be found in some drugs for chemotherapy, components such as microwaves, lasers, and other semiconductor devices. And arsenic can also be found in shell-type fish such as oysters, clams, and crabs. Drinking water from wells that are built near mines and mill tailorings can also contain arsenic. What are the potential health effects, you may ask? Well, the different health effects that arsenic causes could affect the cardiovascular system, endocrine system, and immune system, the nervous system, and respiratory system only by inhalation, prostate glands, and possibly even cause liver, kidney, bladder, and skin cancer by only ingestion. Let's also touch on some facts about type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is the most common type of diabetes and occurs when your glucose is too high. And when type 2 diabetes is present, it means that it's not producing enough insulin to compensate for the high levels of glucose. And the most affected groups of this disease are ages of 45 or older, or if it runs in the family, and overweight parties. And you also gain more resistant to insulin. Why is there a possible association? Well, based on the research that I have conducted, is that there when there is low to moderate levels of arsenic, type 2 diabetes seems to be associated with it just about every time. And when there's higher levels of arsenic, there's some other potential disease that occurs other than type 2 diabetes. And the main focus on arsenic that we'll be talking about is the urine inorganic arsenic, which is IAs, or monomethylarsenate, MMAs, and then dimethylarsenate, which is DMAs. The study done with 13 American Indian communities took a population of about 1,838 American Indian men and women of the age of 45 or older, and within the span of 10,327 person years of follow-up, just about 252 participants developed diabetes. And the way they found this is when there is a lower MMA percentage and a higher DMA percentage. Type 2 diabetes seems to be present in these American Indian tribes. The Strong Heart study found that arsenic metabolism was associated with both the diabetes prevalence and incidence in their study of population. So they just noticed that there was just a really high number of association between the two. And because of the lower and higher, or the lower MMA percentage and the higher DMA percentage association, it also showed that there was an increase in insulin resistance, which is based on HOMA to IR. The population in the US, including American Indian communities, do carry a higher burden of diabetes that are affected by low to moderate arsenic exposed through drinking water. In another study that I have researched about patterns that arsenic metabolism has with high DMAs is that out of the 28 studies they researched, 12 of them were cancer, 9 of them were cardiovascular disease, and 7 of them were diabetes. And based on those studies, they noticed that most of these cancers and other diseases had high MMA and lower DMA. But what makes it different from diabetes is that diabetes has lower MMA and higher DMA. So this is all caused by the inorganic arsenic metabolism. The the study on insulin diabetes by the Strong Heart study, they studied a population of 11,263 person years with a result of 396 of these participants developing diabetes. And it was found that a low seafood consumption indicated that DMA was mainly coming from IA's exposures, so the inorganic exposures. And the researchers had the same results as the previous study about, yeah, all right, I did say that already, damn. So why is it important to talk about the association of type 2 diabetes and arsenic? Well, because of the rise of numbers of people getting diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it's important to track down the cause of this rise, and then arsenic can't be boiled, filter out with chlorine or any other method that we can do at home. So everything has to be done before it reaches our own home. And since there isn't a lot of research that is being conducted by these two associations, it's very crucial to be pushing forward to these potential solutions. And some possible solutions that we can do is lowering the permitted arsenic level to 5 ppb from 10 ppb, because when the original limitation was 50 and it was already very harmful to our communities. And New Hampshire has already set this limit of 5 ppb, and giving tribal communities the necessary resources to reduce arsenic exposure is a potential thing to do, and creating new wells from away from mines to keep arsenic from contaminating the water, and adding filtration to existing wells to lower the exposure rate. So based on these findings is that we can conclude that there is a potential association with low to moderate levels of arsenic and type 2 diabetes, because of how consistent these different studies that I have read, having the same arsenic metabolism, being lower MMA percentage and higher DMA percentage. There, I do believe it lacks on comparing with past arsenic exposure data, which can potentially help figure out what we can do with current exposure data. So as we continue with researching about this association, we'll be able to reduce the affected parties. Thank you. And then here are my references right here.